I stood there, smeared with barbecue sauce, wondering what I should say when I regained my ability to speak. My husband of 14 years just said the most shocking thing I've ever heard in my life. I didn't even suspect that he thought that way. I didn't have any assumptions. Either this is a new revelation or he suddenly, at some point of introspection, saw the light. "What do you want me to say?" I asked. "I don't know," he answered, seemingly also in some shock. I thought for a minute. "Lie to me." I said. What? What does it mean?" "From what you just said, you've been lying to me since the day we met." I said. "Why stop now?" I was at the gym. It was about 8:30 p.m., and all the lamps were out except the two above the basket. The college was small, and I was on my own, just shooting three-pointers. The echo of a basketball in an empty hall, the squeak of my sneakers on the floor, all this calmed my soul. I had permission to throw any time I wanted. "Not bad, isn't it?" I heard from the shadows. A guy came out with a basketball in his hands. "Do you mind if I leave with you?" he asked. "Hey, this is a free country and the gym is not mine," I replied. "Thank you." He also had his sneakers in his hands. Cool new Jordans, and I've been trying to buy one for a month now. I hit 3 shots in a row from the flank and moved to the corner of the baseline. He threw for the first time and missed, without touching at least some part of the basket. He laughed and I giggled. "This is not how I imagined it," he said. "Did you imagine anything other than the grid?" I asked. "Yeah, there's such a hot girl shooting three-pointers here, and I was hoping to make a little more of an impression," he said. He picked up his ball, dribbled towards me, and shot. The shot was money, from behind the three-point arc. "Now I've got it," I said, and took a closer look at him. He was very handsome, I thought. According to my estimates, he is 10 years older than me. He extended his fist, and I collided with him. "Sheldon," he said. "Peyton," I said. I took a shot and missed. He chuckled. "I infected you with my bad throw." I ran after the ball, and we threw for a while in silence. "Shall we throw one at a time?" he asked. "Okay, but I'm first," I said. He agreed, and we both made 2 three-pointers in a row before he missed and got his H. He had whore before I missed, and then he started making the dumbest shots I could ever imagine in my life, bouncing off the floor, through the backboard, with his left hand. We equalized the score, after which he missed, and I finished him off. He laughed. "I was destined to lose." "Yes, it's destined. You showed some tricks, Sheldon. I grew up playing against my 2 older brothers," he said. "The only way to stay in the game was through tricks." I was ready to leave, so I told him, "Thanks for the game," and went on my way. Over the next 2 weeks, I saw him twice more, and the second time we played one-on-one. He was taller than me, and I had to work hard, but I was faster. I had enough steals and rebounds to win, but it was a real competition. I think he gave in to me because I was a girl and didn't fight me often. When we finished the game, he asked if I wanted a drink. "You mean drink like in a club, or take a Gatorade energy drink?" I asked. "Well, I like the idea of a club," he said. "Although I don't think I have a chance, so I was going to offer to buy you a bottle of something in the hall." I laughed. "Yes, in any case, we are a little sweaty for the club. Would you go to the club with me?" he asked. "Well, that is, when we are not sweaty." I glanced at him. "Would there be anyone who thought they were in a relationship with you who would be disappointed that you took me to the club?" He grinned. "Good question. No, there won't be any. I'm divorced, Peyton. It's been about 9 months now." "Why?" I asked. He looked slightly shocked. "Why did I get divorced?" I nodded. "Yes. My ex decided that Wichita was too small a market for her talents," he said. "Perhaps she is right. If we see her hosting a national news program, I will agree." "Have you decided not to move?" I asked. "She decided that," he said. "Her life was changing, and I was not part of these changes. It's clear. Sorry, but questions need to be asked," I said. "Oh, believe me, I understand. I don't have much experience, but I'm glad you're asking questions. I laughed. Okay, dude, it's your turn. Yes, somewhere like that. True. I have very little practice to come up with them. Is this something recent? Or have you always had problems with this? I asked. He grinned, and it was just adorable. No, I think I was once good at it. I haven't been practicing much lately. Well, you have a pretty good grasp, I said. Now, can you make a mid-range jump shot? Hey, that's the best part of my game, he retorted. Indeed? He laughed. Okay, you're better than me at basketball, probably in everything. I'm still not giving up, though. Yes, respect for that. I raised my blue Powerade drink. I have to go, Peyton, he said. Hot date? I asked. The hottest. I have a 4-year-old daughter, and I have never missed an opportunity to read her a bedtime story. I was a little taken aback. Doesn't she live with her mother? I'm not saying it should, it's just that it's so small. I don't know what I'm saying. I was very impressed and touched by how much he loves his daughter. He grinned. Being a star doesn't go well with young children. Well, your ex seems like a real bitch, I said. What is her name? My ex? No, stupid, your daughter. Oh, exactly, her name is Blake. Oh, I like that name, I said. Well, I need to pick her up from her parents' house, he said. Tell me, Peyton, would you like to go to the club with me sometime? Of course, I'll go. Give me your number, I said. He handed me his phone, and I sent myself a text message. Call me anytime, I said. He didn't call. Probably he was just too out of it. I saw him in the gym and told him about it. His face flushed, and he stammered. Sorry, Peyton. I took out my phone dozens of times and chose your number. You just couldn't pull the trigger? I asked. Well, I wanted to believe in myself. It was just so awkward, and maybe you don't realize it, but you're kind of scary, Peyton. What the hell? Why am I scaring you? Because you are young, beautiful, and regularly beat me in basketball, he said. Why don't you have a boyfriend? I have my own standards, I said. Come to dinner with me and explain them to me, he said. I'll go if you bring your daughter, I said. Is it true? With pleasure. I didn't think you'd agree. Do I look like someone who hates children? I asked. He laughed. No, sorry. I just meant that you are obviously a student. You're the hottest girl on campus or whatever in the entire state, and I really don't know why you want to have dinner with me, much less meet my daughter. You're in the game, dude. Well, not basketball, but in a different sense. He laughed. You're funny, Peyton. I smiled my best smile, and we agreed to go out to dinner on Friday night. I never answered his question about the guy. I've been on dates, but with my current selection of frat guys, jocks, and nerds, there's no one I'm serious about dating. Well, maybe with him. On Friday, he picked me up at the hostel. I was watching him and saw him get out of the new Subaru BRZ, and I went out to meet him since he didn't know my room number. The expression on his face when he saw me was exactly what I was hoping for when I got dressed. Wow, he said. I've never seen you in anything other than sportswear. God, you're amazing, Peyton. I laughed. You look good too, Sheldon. Where's Blake? He's waiting for us in the car. We went out and he opened the door for me. When I looked into the back seat, there was the cutest doll sitting in her little car seat. She shook her legs, smiled, and I wanted to take her out and squeeze her. She has very light, almost white hair, and the most amazing, huge, violet eyes. I swear these are the most beautiful eyes I have ever seen. Hello, she said. Are you Peyton? Dad told me about you. He said that you play basketball very well. Well, I can do a lot of things, I said. Yes, I'm Peyton, and you're probably Blake. She nodded vigorously. Yes, we're going to Uncle Dale's in restaurant, I suggested. The smile she gave me for helping melted me into a puddle. You are so cute, I told her. Sheldon listened to this dialogue, quietly shaking with laughter. It was clear that he was proud of her, as if saying, yes, this little angel is mine. To Uncle Dale, then? Where are you taking me, Sheldon? He laughed. Everything is not as bad as it seems. By the way, the place isn't called Uncle Dale's. It's an Irish-Mexican place, and it turns out it's one of 3 that my brother-in-law owns. Oh, so you are a relative of the owner. Will we get VIP treatment? What is VIP? Blake's thin voice came from the back seat. A very important person, I said. Do you know what this means? Something like that, she said. It's like dad or something. Oh my God, she's simply adorable. Yes, exactly, honey. He clearly found it all very funny. To be honest, me too. He thought he was taking advantage of me. But I thought about it from the minute he told me he had her. I love children, and this is not an ordinary child. Thanks to Blake, Sheldon has become 10 times more attractive, and he is already quite attractive. We were driving, Blake was chatting with me about how she made a house out of popsicle sticks in kindergarten, and then I felt my hair being pulled. When I looked, I saw that she had leaned forward to reach me, and her small chubby fingers were playing with one of my curls. She looked up at me, and the look in her magnificent eyes changed my mind. I like your hair, she said. My God, I have hair, lots and lots of hair. It's kind of like my calling card. If a black girl takes care of her hair, it can be great. I take care of my own. Blake braided hers, and I tugged at it. I like your braid too, Blake. Maybe someday we can do each other's hair? I would like to, but I'm not very good at it, she explained. It's mostly my dad who does my hair. I glanced sideways at him. Sheldon has hidden talents, I said. He laughed. Sheldon is a slave and does whatever his daughter wants, he said. Someday she will look at old photographs and ask me why I did her hair like that. I can imagine, I said. What do you think you will answer her? That she wanted it that way. He chuckled. We arrived at the restaurant, and I helped Blake out of her car seat. She was so tiny and adorable, and the first thing she did was grab my hand and lead me inside. I gave her my heart that day, and I can never get it back. Her father was also very charming. Uncle Dale was in the restaurant and took personal care of us. I think he was tasked with impressing me, and he did. The food was delicious, the service impeccable, but it was the company that made my evening unforgettable. Blake insisted on going to my room and checking on it when we returned, so we never had a chance to be alone, although Sheldon kissed me on the cheek as he left. Blake wanted me to put my arm around her for her kiss, and holding that warm little thing close to me, I kissed her on both cheeks, which was enough to film it. It wasn't until Sheldon met me on Tuesday night to play racquetball that we spent time alone. He asked me out again, and Blake told me when I arrived at their house that it was an adult date. It was impressive, one of those gable-roofed houses built on the edge of a lake, and I loved it immediately. Does this mean that you are not going? I asked her. Yes, my grandmother will come to stay with me. We'll bake cookies, she admitted. Oh, that sounds tempting, I said. Will I get it? Oh, yeah. We're making it for you, she said. Dad and I decided that you like cookies. Oh, I like it, cute bug. Finally, Sheldon took me to that same club for a drink and turned out to be a competent dancer. He was stiff, but he relaxed pretty quickly, and I was good enough to make him look even better. I feel like an old man, he said when we took our first break. I laughed. Why? Well, because I haven't done this for so long and you're so young. Dude, I'm 24, I said. How old are you, 30? Believe me, you are not old. He grinned. I'm 34, Peyton. I'm probably the oldest guy to ever ask you out. You'd be surprised, Sheldon. I am approached by men from 70 to 18. Who was your oldest date? He asked. I don't ask about age, so I don't know, I told him. Maybe 60? Is it true? Yeah, he was damn fit and good looking, I said, but not as sexy as you, wanted to be my sugar daddy. Can I be your sugar daddy? He asked. I couldn't help but laugh. Let's see, so far you've done great. Let's dance. Our speed of movement was exceptionally slow. Every time we were together, I liked him more and more. By the time I graduated from college, we were together, lovers, and having him and Blake attend my graduation was the highlight of the evening. I introduced him to my father. Mac, my father, thought he was crazy at first. Are you dating a white man, baby? Are you sure about this? When you married your mom, you had no problem dating a white woman, I said. And suddenly you became some kind of racist? He laughed. No, it's just that you are my child, and I don't want you to make mistakes. What the hell, Dad? You are making some very unpleasant assumptions. I love him. You know Blake. How is it possible that you consider a person who has such a daughter a mistake? Well, hush, hush, Tiger Cub. I didn't say he was a mistake. I do not know him. I just love you and want you to be happy. Your mom would want this for you too. I was still a little angry. I think she would, but she would have found a much better way to say it than you. Forgive me, kitten. I apologize for my tone. Do you forgive me? Being wrapped in his huge arms and squeezed until I couldn't breathe helped. Yes, just give him a chance, Dad, okay? I promise. Will we still be volunteering at the Children's Advocacy Center on Saturday? As always, I said. I'll pick you up. Sheldon's parents were a little nervous when we first met, but they turned out to be wonderful people. And his mother, Anne, was one of the nicest people I've ever met. His father, Mike, arranged for me to meet him for breakfast once a week, and I got to know him better. He is very similar to Sheldon, and maybe vice versa. Anyway, the first time we were together, he asked, "Do you love Sheldon?" This was after Sheldon and I had been dating for 3 months. But by that point, I didn't think too much about it. I thought for a minute. I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about him, I said. I have romantic feelings for him. Well, I myself know that he feels them for you, he said. I winked. Nice to hear. You invited me here for questioning, Mike? He laughed. I understand that it seems so. No, not at all. After Blake's mom left, he was very depressed. I don't want to see him like this again. Getting dumped never builds trust, and it looks like it just backfired on him. I mean, asking a beautiful girl like you out on a date? Thanks, Mike. But you don't have to worry about me breaking someone's heart. I don't have this in me. He may decide that I am too strange to tolerate, and he himself will be glad to leave me. But I promise, it will not be at my instigation. Tell me some of your weird things, he said. Well, I have such characters on social networks. They are me, but they are all fake. I just play with them as a hobby. Some people find this strange. He laughed. Yes, it's quite strange, Peyton, but it doesn't surprise me. Even if I know very little about you, why are you doing this? I shrugged. Don't know. It's fun. You come up with some outrageous nonsense about the person you're representing and see how others react to it. It's not really you, but people act like it's you, even though everyone knows it's not. It's like playing a role, but everyone pretends to take it seriously. I think it sounds fake, he said. That's true, but do you like watching movies even though you know they're not real? Yes, I never thought about that, Peyton. I understand why Sheldon is fascinated by you. I patted his hand. And I understand where he gets this charm from. I'm also very smart. He snorted. Yes, I noticed. The parents are subdued, mission complete. The barriers were removed to see if we actually had something. It turned out that yes, the man was very romantic, and after a year, I idolized him. Sex was fateful. He was better than I even wanted. There is something about sex that is life-changing and makes you lose your mind. An ecstasy that just doesn't stop and makes you slightly regret, firstly, that you never knew this before, and secondly, what you were like before. That girl is gone, and you will never go back to her. This is what you deserve, and the chemical pathways in your brain change so that your expectations will remain that way forever. This was our first time, and it never changed. This is my man, and no one else can ever be close to this. He wasn't my first, but he became something bigger. I completely fell in love with this man. And it's not that everything he does gives me pleasure. We had quarrels, cruel quarrels. The difference is what happened during and after the fights. I always felt guilty if it was me, which was often. and he obviously felt the same way. I couldn't be mad at him because he always did or said something that reminded me that this is my man. My life became what I had dreamed of, and when I received my master's degree, we got married. This was not a big change because we had already lived together for 2 years. The only one for whom it mattered a lot was Blake. We've been a mutual admiration society since we met, but after our simple ceremony, with just Blake and our parents in attendance, she walked over, pulled me down, forced me to my knees, hugged me and said, "I love you, Mom." All my dreams came true. This led to me becoming sour. After that, I became a mom and tried to be the best mom on the planet. I think I succeeded. But 11 years later, when my little clone started going to school, everything went wrong. I saw that Sheldon was worried about something, but I waited. In the end, he always told me what was wrong. We invited my dad and Sheldon's parents over for a barbecue. The ribs sat on the foil, slowly simmered, and were ready to be doused with barbecue sauce. I made it myself and bottled it. I was just taking one of them out of the closet when he stood next to me and amazed me with his words. I was wearing panties and nothing else. Well, because I always walk around the house like that. When he said that, I dropped the jar, it broke, and yes, the barbecue sauce ended up on my panties. "Peyton, I've been lying the whole time I've known you," he said. At this moment, the bank and... Crap? What's the matter with you, Shell? Crap. Look here. He hastily took out a napkin and wiped me, and then all the mess, and I sat and thought for a minute. I got up and put on shorts and a top. I felt too vulnerable to remain naked. When I returned, he had already finished cleaning and poured me a glass of wine. I took out another can, poured it over the ribs, and returned them to the heat. Finally, she sat down opposite him at the bar counter. "Okay, spit it out, dude. It better be good." "Sorry, Peyton, but that's not true." "What do you mean?" I asked. "Well, you know, about the fact that they wanted to promote me at work?" "Yes, and you mean you didn't get a promotion?" "Obviously not, otherwise it wouldn't take so long. I just wasn't even close, Peyton. I'm starting to feel this way about a lot of things. You deserve better than me. I'm starting to doubt if I can ever be the man you need. It seems to me that all this time I was lying to you, saying that I was that same man. I was terrified. How could I let this happen? I don't have time to think about it. My man is in pain." I walked up and hugged him from behind like an anaconda and was not going to let go. "Darling, I don't know what made you feel this way. Maybe it was something I did. If you do, then tell me and let me apologize because I want you to know that I don't feel that way at all. Blake and Elika too. We think you are you, and that's all we want." I turned his head and kissed him fiercely. He answered half seriously. I wasn't going to let this go unnoticed. I turned him around on the stool and stood between his legs, hugging his neck, and looked straight into his kind blue eyes. "Lie to me," I said. "What?" "I lied to myself, asshole. If our whole life has been a lie, lie to me again. Say it's okay. Tell me that you love me. Lie to me, Shell." He sat and looked at me. "Has this whole promotion thing really upset you that much, honey?" "I'm sorry I didn't notice this. Sheldon, I loved you yesterday and I love you today. This promotion would be nice, yes, but now you don't have it and I still love you. Do you even understand this?" "Yes, but it's been almost 2 weeks since I had the interview and..." "Bullshit," I said. "I don't care that even 2 months have passed. I don't care if they give it to some idiot. Do you understand, Shell? It does not matter. I wanted you to get it only because you want it, and not for my own sake." I found his arms slowly rising to embrace me. He cleared his throat. I thought I could... If only I could even half catch up with you. Be as close to such a strange perfection as you..." I laughed. "Yes, I am, and that's okay. Jesus, Sheldon. Just lie to me. I want you to know that this is not a lie at all. I know who you are. You can tell yourself and me that this is a lie, but I know. Are you going to lie to me, Shell?" "No," he began. He looked up at my face. "Well, that is, yes. Isn't it so?" Yes, I said. When are you going to start? He looked up at me again, reading my face. Now. Exactly, I said. But only after this. I tried to swallow his tongue, felt his hands on my curls, and we passed out. While I was trying to catch my breath, he pulled me towards him. Thank you, Peyton. I was feeling really depressed about this whole work thing, and I just let it spill over into a lot of other things. I saw Charles hitting on you that evening. This, along with work, how busy we are, and how difficult it is to meet everyone's expectations, just got to me. I started to think that you could have someone better. Don't let fucking Charles get into your head, honey, I said. He is not mine. May he be young and healthy. He's nice enough, and yes, he's famous and all. Can you imagine what will happen to me with him? Jesus. Shell, this dude is a kid. I know, but you're so hot, and he's all like that, and you're all like that, I told him. Your daughters idolize you, man. Hell, I idolize you myself. We need to communicate better, honey. The only expectations you don't meet are your own. The girls and I are waiting for you to have a job. We don't care if you're a financial director or a caretaker. Seriously, I want you to become a CFO if you can and want it. If you don't get this job or don't want it, I'll still be glad. The girls are happy. Besides, I make a hell of a lot of money, Shell. You can retire tomorrow if you want, and spend your time pampering us. He smiled. Perhaps, he said. I can't think of a better job than this. Is it true? So come on. I pressed myself close to my man. He swam, and I got up after a while and went to check the ribs. They were perfect, and a killer smell of steam emanated from them in all directions. They were perfect, elastic enough not to fall off the bone. I went quite deep into myself. What on earth makes us not notice our partner's cues? I need to be more vigilant. How did I let the man I love get to this point without allaying his fears? I realized something. When you love, you do everything to please each other's pride. He admitted that the other needs this stroking, and that this is your job. I'm going to do better. The dude is a damn good basketball player, even at his age. I laughed at my own joke. I'm better. But who cares? Behind me I heard a noise and two huge arms hugged me. Peyton, I'm as in love with you as I was the day I realized I was in love. Even stronger, he said. Thank you for being there and not judging me. I spun around in his arms and pressed my cheek to his chest. You would do the same for me, and even more, I said, and warmed him up with my best kiss. Ugh. It was Alika. Why are you doing this in front of me? My dad was immediately at her side and lightly spanked her, causing her to squeal in mock indignation. You better cheer them up, he said. She raised her fist up. Hooray! She squealed in the most desperate voice. What are we happy about? Blake came out to us, followed by Sheldon's parents. Mom and Dad fell in love, Alika explained. Is this news? Mike asked. Blake came over and hugged us. My daughter is tall. How could this happen? Alika wanted her share, and we also grabbed her and the ancestors and hugged them. I want some more fried abalone, I said. We sat down at the table and began to enjoy the barbecue. Sheldon caught my eye and winked. From now on, I will start lying, he whispered in my ear. I hugged him, getting barbecue sauce all over his shirt. He didn't seem to mind. He got the job, and since then I have never heard anything but lies come out of his mouth. Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.